4 years. 4 years of college, full with some really great moments as well as few bad moments. Now, after all that stuff, you're finally getting ready for your interview, and that is something you have waited for a really long time now. The nervousness and the tension is clearly visible, but well, let's just first of all learn how to tie a tie. Now, moving on. So I was saying that everything is really very tense. The whole moment is really very tense. But you know what? We are gonna nail this interview. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in today's video we are going to discuss various interview tips which have helped me or my friends as well. So the very first tip is not exactly an interview tip, it's a bit pre-interview step, but the point is that you should apply for the jobs for only which your skill set is matching. I mean, if you are applying for software developer roles, then you should also be having data structure knowledge, right? And if you are applying for a data engineer role or data analyst role, then you should be having good knowledge of SQL, Python, or perhaps cloud as well for data engineer, right? So that's the point, because that way if you will already be having the basic knowledge of stuff that will be required for that particular role, things will be very much easier for you in the interview round. If you want to contact me regarding any doubts or queries that you have or any help you require for your placements, etc., you can contact me on my LinkedIn or on my Instagram. The second tip is that the skills that you have mentioned in your resume, you already know the basics very well of those skills. I mean, if you have mentioned that you know C++ or Java, you should be knowing C++ or Java concepts properly. You should be knowing most of the common syntaxes of both the languages, right? So these are some very basic things, but you should be knowing them properly. And obviously, without any doubt, many people mention skills in their resume which they do not know properly or do not know at all, just to get shortlisted. I mean, if your interviewer asks question related to that, how will you even answer? You will simply be numb or you'll just be quiet. So to avoid that situation, just do not mention any skill that you are not equipped with, so that you do not face any awkwardness in the interview. Another thing is that the projects that you have mentioned in the resume, you should be knowing them thoroughly. Obviously, for that you have to make those projects yourself. It should not be copied from anywhere, or it should not be directly taken from GitHub and just making minor changes and then using it as your own project. It should not be that way, because obviously if the interviewer asks you in-depth questions regarding that project, you will fumble, and again it will not be a very good point for you in the interview. The next step is that you should have proper body language. So your back should be straight, you should be smiling all the time. I mean, obviously, who would choose a person who is extremely serious all the time in comparison to a person who is smiling all the time? If you compare that, both of them have equivalent skills, right? So obviously a person who is more smiling and charming is likely to get the job, even though they have similar skills. Now this is most likely possible only if there is one opening. So in that scenario you might face this issue, but obviously if you have two openings and two incredibly talented people are here, who are just fitting the job perfectly, so obviously both will be selected, but preference might be given to the person who has a better body language overall. And now a very important point is confidence. So you should maintain your confidence the whole time. Many people, they just fumble or they just get very nervous and are unable to speak properly. So you should be confident enough to not face these issues, because I know there are a lot of people who are technically very sound, but they are not really very confident, and due to which, even though they know the answer properly, they still fail to properly communicate their answers. So communication skills is one point, and having good confidence is another point, and both of them are extremely important. They are almost as important as having good technical skills. So this is a very underrated piece of advice, that people do not focus on their confidence and their whole representing themselves in the interviews, but this is extremely important, because if you are not able to communicate your answer properly to the interviewer, even though you know it, then it's a very bad thing. and you might not get the job. So yeah. And the next point is that you should elaborate things that you already know. So obviously you have to answer the questions that you know properly, very confidently, but you should also elaborate them. So if you have been asked a particular concept, then you should give few examples along with it, so that the interview knows, yes, this person isn't just guessing, he actually knows the answer and he is able to give the examples for that as well. So definitely this guy has proper knowledge, he has the in-depth knowledge of everything, right? This will also give a great impact to the interviewer. And another tip is that you might not be able to answer a couple of questions, but that's okay. You just have to control yourself and do not feel underconfident at all at any point of the interview. Because if you feel underconfident, then the whole interview will not go that well, even if you know the answers properly. So even if you are unable to answer a couple of questions, it's okay. Just calm yourself and keep thinking that you just have to get this job and you have to answer every other question properly. And if you answer other questions properly and with examples, as I said earlier, you will definitely get the job.